we have said many times, like, this is the exact same team from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, however, there were a couple of surprises, at least to break camp. They break camp with Bobby Brink on the roster and Emil Andrae. Andrae, it was more or less like the like what juniors players get the tryout, but they were able to just send him back to the Phantoms rather than like the CHL. But it was basically just a tryout. Like, we like some of this guy's tools. Maybe he can do it. They gave him a look. Ultimately sent him back to the AHL. Bobby Brink just had a really impressive camp.
Yeah.
Like, he was
particularly really impressive second half of camp.
Yes. Like,
he came on in the second half and then just kept scoring.
His preseason was really good. He was like, if Tyson Forster was going to make this team, which we all thought from the beginning, like, oh, Forster's making it. Coach loves him. It was like, oh, Brink's looked better, you know? And how can we have the credibility of, oh, this is a competition, man. You're going to earn it. Well, he earned it, so Forster's going to make it. Brink has to make it too. And Brink, for the first part of the season, until he really hit that rookie wall, I thought, like halfway through, looked really good. Those were surprises. Is there even room for surprises on the roster this year, Charlie? Like, is there any room? Like, I'm just thinking, to start, who on the Flyers roster right now is vulnerable? Like, a guy who might not get the playing time we're expecting or could even be waived or sent down. I have 2.5 names.
Okay, well, what are your names?
Zamula, I think.
Who they probably want to keep for Mitch.
Want to keep, but maybe could play less than we expect right now.
That's reasonable.
Brink, I think,
if he has a bad camp,
yeah,
could
might
happen.
Not start the team on the roster.
Could happen. I think he certainly has a leg up, and he certainly should be considered one of the like favorites. But if he has a Cam York-esque camp, they could send him down. There's
not a doubt in my mind he's one of the 9 best forwards on this roster, but we also know who the coach is. Yeah. It's like, earn it, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like, not to be waived or sent down, but maybe in the, okay, you're the 13th, 14th forward. Maybe Noah Cates. Maybe.
I think the coaches like him too much.
Just an outside chance if someone kicks the door down, but no, I don't think.
Yeah, I can't see that.
You don't even see him as potentially vulnerable?
No. Okay. I mean, he could potentially sit at times.
Potentially vulnerable, what does that even mean?
But I don't think there's any chance of him getting waived. Yeah, Brink and Zamula. Zamula is the interesting one because I would say that if there's going to be a surprise, I think it would come on the back end. Number one, because defensemen get injured. Like, look, the Flyers are hopeful and expecting that both Drysdale and Ristolainen will be ready and good to go for the start of camp. I think they probably have higher hopes on Drysdale just because he's already skating. He's good.
Sounds like he's pretty good to go.
The Risto thing was pretty serious, and they're hoping. And I think they are expecting, but like might be a little bit more like, we'll see. Hopefully it's fine. Hopefully it's fine. But my point is that you have 2 guys coming in on the defense corps that had surgery in the summer. So we'll see. In addition, you just have guys that are closer. Like when at the end of the season, when we talked to Briere, I asked which guys were close. And he more or less said like not that many forwards. Like I think if Elliot Desnoyers hadn't like completely fallen off the map from an offensive scoring standpoint, he would be entering this camp with a real shot. Unfortunately, he didn't score much. He regressed. So it would take a bonkers level camp from him, I think, to push the door down and push his way in, or just a bunch of injuries. Whereas on defense, I think there are a lot of guys who they believe are NHL caliber. Like you have the blue line core that they projected in the NHL blue line core, fair. But you also have Ronnie Attard, who is no longer waiver exempt, who's going to be trying to push. I think if they waived him, I think he would clear. But there's a non-zero possibility that he could be claimed. It's low, but it exists. So he's going to be in the mix. Adam Ginning, they like. He's going to be in the mix. Hunter McDonald, they love. I think he's going to get some time in the AHL, but he did get time in the AHL at the end of last season.
Yes.
Looked pretty good from everything I've heard. If he has a great camp, given how much everybody in that organization seems to love him, hey, if he has a great camp, all bets are friggin' off. So he's in the mix. Andrae made the team last year. Yeah. So, like, if he has another great camp, he could be in the mix. So I would say that if there's going to be a surprise, it would be on defense. Eric Johnson is going to be the extra, most likely. But, like, let's say Zamula stinks in camp. I don't think they would waive him because of the Mitchkov factor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they would just send him down to the minors, although that would give Kolosov somebody to be friends with if they
There
did.
you go.
That would solve that problem is if Kolosov shows up. I don't think they're going to do it because I think they like the idea. Because the thing with Zamula, why he's going to be important for Mitchkov is for two reasons. Number one, while he obviously speaks Russian fluently, his English is okay. So he can be like the translator to other people like in the room. Number two, Zamula is part of like the crew. Like he is in the social crew. And that would allow kind of a bridge to get Mitchkov in the social crew too. So I don't think Zamula getting waived is on the table. But if he has a crap camp, I could see him starting camp as like the 8. Like just not playing that much because Adert or Jennings or McDonald had a killer camp. And it's like, well, EJ's the 7, you're the 8, and we'll get you in a game here and there. When somebody gets hurt, you'll jump back in. But like, dude, you got outplayed. Sorry. I can see that.
This is just a side piece on this real quick. We mentioned like they got to get Mishkov like involved into the social crew, like our Farabee and company going to be taking him out to the bars and stuff. And someone tweeted us, it was like, you guys remember he's 19, right? It's like, listen,
come on. It's a professional.
The rules. Well, I don't think is it the best idea to be going out and getting him shit faced every night? I think it is, but other people might disagree. There's not going to be some sort of raid on a bar that Matvei Mitchkov is like it's the poorhouse at Drexel. Like that ain't going to happen. I'm to a place he's at with those guys.
All I'm saying is that I would say the vast majority of us, both of us on the show, and the vast majority of people watching the show, maybe on a couple occasions, got into bars before they turned 21.
Yeah.
And none of us, most likely, hey, maybe there are a couple watching, none of us were professional athletes. I'm going to wager that if we found ways to do it, an actual NHL player with superstar potential will have no problem talking his way past the bouncer.
They did, however, shut down the key copying place where you got your fake IDs at 16th and Spring Garden. That's where me and all my friends went.
R.I.P.
I was from Battle Creek, Michigan. That was mine. Anyway, looking at the forwards, though, like, do you think Samu Tuomala could surprise? Like, Massimo Rizzo, like, he's a man at least. Like, he's of age. I mean, it's not like he needs to develop or anything. Like, he is what he is in terms of physical.
Well, so like, that would probably be Rizzo and Tuomala. Those are two. I don't think either of them are going to make a team.
Bowles, Eklund, like some of these older guys.
Those guys could be.
Yeah.
But again, the thing is it's sort of like, who are they going to push out?
Exactly.
The fourth line looks pretty set.
We have 4 guys for the fourth line right now.
Yeah, I do think that those signings from Europe are going to be in the mix. I think both of them will probably play games to start in the 2024-2025 season. They'll both get looks. And they'll be in the mix. Like when I do my pre-training camp breakdown, they will be guys who are like in the mix. So I usually break it down into different groups. But if you're talking about Tuomala, because you just threw a lot of names at me. If you're talking about Tuomala and Rizzo, those guys probably have to push out Brink. And I don't think they're going to push out Brink. Now, hey, you never know. Brink stinks in preseason, doesn't score a single point, is looking ineffective, and Rizzo just is like, man, this dude is having Brink's camp from last year. Then all bets are off. I'm just not expecting it because Brink was pretty good in the NHL this past year, and now he's a year older, hopefully a year stronger, hopefully a little bit quicker. And those guys, Tuomala had a really great first like 2/3 of the season. Tailed off at the end. I think he probably just got worn down a little bit, played a lot of hockey, hadn't played a ton of hockey in the years before. I think he's going to have I think he's going to take a step forward this season, but I don't think they're going to rush him to the NHL. Rizzo is coming out of college. So, yes, it is theoretically possible that he shows up at camp and just kills it. I'm not expecting it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, who could fit the mold is what I'm looking for. And like Desnoyers, I think he would have to just go bonkers because of the step back he took.
Yeah.
But like Tuomala up until I think they said on Flyers Daily today, he got hurt. Like there was just after the AHL All-Star break, he took a dip, but he was really good.
But yeah, I mean, you're look at the forward core they have. So you've got,
there's no spots.
They basically said, and I get it. I get where they're coming from. Like, Nick Delorier is going to be the bodyguard, professional best friend for Mitchkov. So he might not play every night, but he's making the team. They love Ryan Poehling. He's the 4C, if not more than that. Garnet Hathaway, they signed a year early to another 2-year extension, so he's on the team, obviously. And they really like Noah Cates. Like, there's your 4 players on the fourth line. I just don't know where, like, and I do think they like those Swedish guys they brought over, the guys from the SHL. I don't know where they play unless guys get hurt. And hey, if there are injuries, there can be injuries in camp, there could be injuries in preseason. You never know. But I just don't see where the spots are for forwards. Before
we get to the super chats, I want to thank all of the PHLY diehards out there. Very much appreciate your continued support, and I very much appreciate someone named Matthew, who just threw out, I think he's shooting a shot with Kelly in the comments.
Hey,
so there you go. There he is. First time commenting. So, yeah, whatever. Good for you. Hopefully that works out.
We love when people tell Kelly how great she is.
We do.
She's great.
We do.
So,
all right.
We all silly like the mayor.